Thank you, Richard and Drew. On this exact day, 6 years ago, December 14th, 2017, our first speaker was a very young county manager named Chris Coudriet. Chris spoke that day about an idea called Project Grace, where New Hanover County would redevelop an entire square block in downtown Wilmington. The idea included building a new library, moving Cape Fear Museum, and partnering with private developers. I'd like to start this off by playing a portion of that talk from 6 years ago.
I think what's intriguing about it is this entire public discourse about how to reimagine and repurpose public space. It frightens people. It makes people uncomfortable. I fully acknowledge that and accept that. We have made people in our community uncomfortable. When you talk about how to repurpose, reuse, and in some instances dispose of public assets, that scares people. When you think about the scale of this project and the partnership that we need to have with the private sector to make it work, I don't think it's lost on any of you that a partnership of that size and that scale is a completely new space for New Hanover County government.
Now that Project Grace has broken ground, we asked Chris to come back and share some updates. He asked us to start off with another clip from that same talk 6 years ago.
Project Grace, this intriguing idea, is all about taking the opportunity, and I think it's wonderful that we started this morning talking about optimism and opportunity. It's about taking the opportunity to redevelop, redesign, and reimagine an entire city block and how we can actually co-locate our main branch of our public library, our Cape Fear Museum, which is an asset as a resident and a taxpayer you own. To take an asset that's 12 blocks away from the heart of downtown and co-locate those in the center of a thriving community and create that cultural nexus and that nexus for learning and living, but it's not limited to that.
Let's agree, Rob, right now that we'll never show that video again. That's me 1.5 pounds ago, a lot younger, but certainly wiser today. You know, it's not lost on me the irony. In fact, I appreciate that, as Rob said, it's 6 years to the day, to the date itself on the calendar, in the exact same hour that we first stood here and together talked about this big, bold vision that is Project Grace. You know, and a lot has changed in our community over that time. But what hasn't changed is the vision that we talked about, the vision given to us by our county commission. And I'm going to quote a work colleague and a friend, Jennifer Rigby, the county's strategy officer. The county commission has been very stubborn in its vision, but it's been awfully flexible in the journey. And that vision is redeveloping an entire city block that your county government owns, co-locating important public purposes. I don't know of anything that's more important that we offer our community than education and enlightenment. That's what the museum and the library do. But it's to co-locate and redevelop that block with a private partner, to make private taxable investments, and that's okay to happen on a publicly owned block, to make those taxable investments that meet the needs of a growing community, be it commercial, retail, residential. How different is our community today than it was 6 years ago? That's the stubborn vision that your board had, and that's the vision that is coming to life because of the partnership that we've been able to establish. I shared with you that morning some reasons that I felt like you could trust us, meaning the county, to deliver on a big, bold, transformative vision. We had never been there together, but I said you could trust us because we had been building the capacity to offer a form of modern governance, and we've sustained that capacity. And modern governance is governance in the form of a public-private partnership. That's critical as we go forward. Your local units of city government, county government, they cannot do it on their own anymore. We shouldn't. If we're going to meet the needs and expectations of our community going forward to provide them the new innovative service they want, they expect, and they demand, we're going to have to do that in partnership. We've built that capacity. You don't have to look very far from where we stand. The redevelopment of the government center, that was not contemplated when we stood here 6 years ago. But that is the example of what a public-private partnership looked like. When you build a facility that meets the needs of our community, but also you find compatible and complementary private investment that grows the tax base. I said you could trust us because we had the financial capacity, and I promised you we would continue to hold that financial capacity to do big, bold, transformative things for our community. I promised you we would make sound fiscal decisions all along the way. Some of the things that have happened in the last 6 years is your county government has earned and retained every year since that morning AAA bond ratings from Moody's and Standard & Poor's. And let me tell you how unique and rare that is. There are 3,069 counties in the United States of America. There are less than 90 that have double AAA bond ratings. Since that time, your county commission has established a $300 million revenue stabilization fund to help our community navigate crisis, but also strike at opportunity when it presents itself, and to do those things while minimizing the impact on the taxes and fees that we all pay. Your county commission has established a $50 million fund dedicated to mental health and substance use disorders to address what I think we can agree is the most challenging public problem our community faces in the 21st century. And we're going to work on that problem in partnership while minimizing the taxes and fees that you pay. Anybody in this room heard of the New Hanover Community Endowment? Yeah, that's a last time I checked, a $1.3 billion, B with a billion, a $1.3 billion private foundation created by your New Hanover County Commission to help this community grow and prosper well into the future, solve problems, problems that don't even yet exist, and work with us as leverage to go further than we can go by ourselves. Again, public-private partnership. Those are some of the financial decisions that we promised you, perhaps not specifically, but we promised you sound financial decisions and the capacity to do big, bold, transformative things. I also shared with you, you could trust us because New Hanover County is committed to doing the public good. It's why we exist. We are here to serve our community equally and equitably, creating opportunity for everyone that is here. It's our mission. It's why we exist. I also said that you could trust us because we want to do right and well in our community. That we had this ability, as I said, to do public-private partnership. So, where do we stand today? 6 years removed from where we are. Well, again, what was a concept and a vision isn't any longer. It's visionary, but it's real. We have a construction fence that is up around the first phase of the project site, with demolition activity underway today. We have a 95,000 square foot integrated, purposely designed, ready to be constructed museum and library. That is amazing. We have the vision of what is beginning to look like the investments on the south side of the block. Working with our private partner to see what that private investment that's taxable can do to be complementary and compatible with the public purposes that are there, but also perhaps the vision to come. That's where we are today. That's something to be excited and proud about, that your county commission led from a concept, never compromised on the vision, and is under construction today to bring Project Grace to reality. You know, it's been 6 years since we were together, and so I want to define for you what the vision was and what actually is being delivered, what that stubborn vision was and the journey that we followed to get here. That stubborn vision began and includes a commitment to a public-private partnership to activate an entire city block. That vision and what we're delivering is collaboration between the Cape Fear Museum and the New Hanover County Library. What that stubborn vision is going to bring to us is shared space to offer programming that our community wants, expects, and demands as we go forward. That stubborn vision was about an immersive theater and a planetarium that offers educational and learning opportunities to anyone in this region to be excited about that. That stubborn vision included interactive exhibit space to engage and encourage those that are curious to come and explore with us. This new museum and library, 9,000 square feet of space dedicated to telling the story of the Cape Fear area, to remind us of the history, good and bad, of the place that we're lucky to call home. It's going to include 5,000 square feet of traveling exhibit space to bring to our community new Smithsonian-level quality exhibits that have never been able to be enjoyed in our own backyard before this project began to become reality. 3,000 square feet of gallery space dedicated to science, technology, engineering, and math, Dr. Faust, to give our children and our adults the access to the skills they need for the jobs tomorrow. That stubborn vision included a welcoming and flexible library space with plenty of natural light. It also has space dedicated for the technology needs of today and the technology needs of tomorrow. It had a stubborn vision of providing space where people or organizations could come together, work together, collaborate, and inspire and propose doing really big things as well to benefit our community. It proposed and is stubborn about this vision of having a locally expanded local history area, a space that our community has come to love and appreciate and leans on to learn more about where we are. It includes dedicated space for our children and our teenagers to instill in them the love of reading and learning for a lifetime. That was the vision. The board's been very stubborn in it, and that is what is coming to benefit all of us in the future. But I mentioned the journey, boy, did it have to be flexible. We know a lot of things have changed in the last 6 years. I think something maybe our community has forgotten as it relates to Project Grace is your county commission directed a hard stop of the project to reevaluate the original concept. And though that hard stop was informed by the community input, the board was listening. And so we have a different vision that is actually being built. But they never compromised on the core and the integrity of it. You know, we've had Hurricane Florence since then. It impacted our community significantly. I think it proved what we had been saying. We needed a new museum space, a new library, irrespective of where it was. We needed those new facilities to address the impacts of our climate changing and more frequent events. We've all navigated a global pandemic, which has prompted you and your business, but also the county and the service that it provides. It's forced us to reimagine how do we provide these important public services and purposes, especially our museum and our library that are so dependent upon interactive engagement. Our financial model had to change. And when that financial model changed, it led from our first partner needing to exit. And I want to stand here today and thank Zimmer Development for giving us the vision that is being built on Grace Street today. I think they deserve a round of applause in the leadership they gave. And when that financial model had to change, another developer was willing to take a calculated risk and join with us to help bring that vision to reality. Cape Fear Development, and together we're going forward. And Cape Fear Development deserves a round of applause for everything it's done to get us to a construction fence on Grace Street. We've had 3 elections since we were together 6 years ago. Each one of those elections has brought at least one new member to the county commission. But I can share with you every policy choice, every vote that the county commission has taken before 3 years ago and since then, before 6 years ago and since, every one of those votes has been unanimous. That tells you the vision and the support and the expectation your county commission has for this community and the services that we want to provide. So a whole lot has changed. You know, any one of those things could have stopped this project. All of those things combined should have stopped the project, not in this community. Because you expect and you demand more of your local leaders, of your elected officials, of your county commission. You supported them all along the way. You know, we didn't get here fast. It's been 6 years to stand before you and communicate we're underway. We've got that construction fence up. But I'm going to submit to you, we got here exactly when we should. We got here at the exact right time. And I thank our county commission again for that leadership. You know, some have suggested Project Grace is anything but graceful. I disagree with that. In fact, I'm going to submit to you that this project is the epitome of what grace is and looks like. We don't get to where we are without sharing, offering, and receiving grace. Your county commission all along the way showed grace, received grace. Our private development partners all along the way showed grace and I believe received grace. No doubt our community all along the way showed grace to our county and our partners. this project is full of grace. This is a district of grace. And in fact, I'm going to suggest to you it's probably the Grace District. I believe that our community, among many things, expects three things of its elected commission, and they deliver on it every day. And that is, number one, our community expects and demands our county commission to think big, to lay out a vision that is inspiring to all of us, to bring us to a point in the future where we continue to have a diverse, prosperous coastal community, and that we have that for generations to come. I believe this Grace District, this vision that is being constructed, is thinking big. You know, our community expects your county commission to lead big. It expects it to set attainable goals that move us forward and helping the private sector create jobs and having the best performance in our academic setting. That's the expectation that you have of our county commission. And I think the Grace District is an example of the county leading big. And the other thing that I know to be certain is that our community expects our county commission to do big things, to have the best paid teachers in North Carolina, to create an endowment that outlives every man, woman, and child on the face of the earth today. They demand the county do big things. And I believe the Grace District is doing big things. You know, when you lead, when you think and do big things, people notice. Others take notice of what's happening, especially when it's kind of in the hometown. And so I started out asking you, did you believe me then that we could deliver on this idea of Project Grace? Did you believe it then? It's okay to say no. I hope everybody says yes. But did you believe that New Hanover County could deliver on that vision? Well, because of where we are, would you believe that kind of leadership leads to an expanded partnership that begins to prompt others to think about how do you tell a story about the values that were instilled locally growing up in New Hanover County? Do you think things like Project Grace begin to prompt that kind of consideration? Would you believe me if I told you Project Grace could lead to a partnership where we together tell a story that I think, and I believe you would believe, is second to none in sport and business? Would you believe that's possible because of the vision of Project Grace? Would you believe me if I told you there was an opportunity or we could create a partnership that defines the journey, the hard work, the commitment that it takes to be the GOAT? Y'all know the GOAT, right? The greatest of all time. Would you believe those things are possible in our community? Would you believe they're possible on this city block? Well, you can. Because I have the honor of standing here to announce part of what phase 2 of redevelopment of this city block is going to look like. New Hanover County and the Michael Jordan family have entered into a memorandum of understanding to plan and design over the next year a museum on this site that is dedicated to highlighting the accomplishments and the legacy of what I think, and you would agree, is one of the greatest stories in sport, in business. Would you believe that's happening? We are doing that together in partnership. This is not the first partnership that we've entered into with the Jordan family. We've had the honor of working with them for the better part of 30 years with the Michael Jordan Achieving Success exhibit and the Michael Jordan Discovery Gallery that exposes young and old to the ecological and geographical features of eastern North Carolina, the Cape Fear region in particular. If you didn't know we had that partnership, you should, and I would suggest don't let the sun set today before you go to the Cape Fear Museum to see that and what it can translate into in a new partnership. The county, Cape Fear Development, and the Jordan family have identified the corner of 3rd Street and Chestnut Street as the ideal location to partner together to build this museum dedicated to telling this incredible story. Pretty exciting. Folks, these are the kinds of things that happen when we let our elected leaders lead. This idea, this grace district is what happens. These partnerships are the things that happen when our elected leaders leave. The men and women at that table deserve a round of applause for all that they've done to bring this amazing redevelopment project to life. You know, I'm going to close with asking you to give us a little more grace. You've been kind enough to show it all along the way. And I hope in turn we've reflected that back to you. But I ask you to give us the grace, to give our development partner, Cape Fear Development, to expand this partnership with the Jordan family. I ask you to give us the space and the grace to plan over the coming months how we take this incredible vision, this value-add component to the redevelopment of our block. How do we take this vision and bring it to reality? Because I think we've demonstrated we can. And I'm comfortable in asking you for that grace because I know after all that we've been through, I know that you can trust New Hanover County to do big, bold, innovative things.